May 14, 2025. Finally, it's official that President Ibrahim Traoré confirms what was already known and understood by all Africans: the explicit support of imperialist powers for armed terrorist groups. He said, "You followed, just like I did, President Ibrahim Traoré's speech during his stay in Moscow, in which he clearly stated that even during his visit to Moscow, he learned a great deal. Yes, we too learn every day from this great power, the world's leading nuclear power, and we have not been mistaken. In life, you have to know how to choose your friends. If you choose a friend who cannot defend you when there's a problem, you're in serious trouble. In life, you have to know how to build friendships. Which friend will be there for you in your greatest time of need? For a long time, you lied to us. The diplomats of the French junta used to tell us we are friendly countries. I want someone to name a single friendly gesture throughout all the time we have collaborated with the Macronist junta, the French junta. Just one friendly gesture made by the French towards us. I'm talking about the leaders. What is that friendly gesture? Is enslaving us supposed to be a friendly gesture? Colonizing us while claiming it was a civilizing mission, that it was about civilizing Africans, is that supposed to be a friendly gesture? After barely granting independence to African countries, they come and take it back. They come and take back that independence. Because in their place, who should have been the true founding fathers of Cameroon's independence? It was Umnyobe, or failing that, Philippe Moumier, and many others. And they were simply eliminated, assassinated. And who did we put in their place? The lackeys. Amadou Ahidjo. After Amadou Ahidjo, who do we get? Paul Biya. Since then, he has always been in power. The same formula was applied in Gabon. The real lackeys, the real pawns, Léon Mba. Oh yes. He used to say that every Gabonese had two nationalities. And he was Gabonese, he was French. I said, but that's in his speech. Because of that, he let Focart and his network freely siphon off Gabonese oil at a time when the population of Gabon hadn't even reached 2 million. Everyone could... No, but wait, that's not serious. All right. What friendly gesture do they want me to mention? It was when they imposed, when they overthrew various presidents of Mali until they were called in through their Operation Serval, because those terrorists, they're their own men. The transition in Mali, it was they who decided through ECOWAS that Diogunda should lead the transition, and they say it was Diogunda who called, in the French. And the former prime minister under Diogunda, now deceased, may he rest in peace, Django Sissoko, said that there was never any question of ground operations, of ground troops. So, who ordered the French ground troops here? Is that what you call a friendly gesture? And together with the Malian army, we liberated all the localities, all the towns. We arrived at the level of, which locality was it again? We arrive at the locality of Kaidel. They drop off the Malian at Nefis, and then they go alone to Kidal. And that's supposed to be a friendly gesture? Is that really it? It doesn't exist, actually. Nothing. But look at what they did in Benin the other day. A country attacked from all sides, on its northern front by terrorists. Instead of providing real drones, real combat helicopters, they go and get an anti-locust plane. And despite all that, the carefully selected African leaders say no, it's truly a friendly country. We must cooperate. We would like to be friendly countries in that case, but friendship also has to be proven. It's not just about words, it has to be felt through actions. Friendship isn't theoretical. Friendship is shown in practice. You see me regularly, you come to my house. Are my problems your problems? Do we share joys and sorrows together? Can I trust you? Can we talk to each other? Can we confide in each other? Friendship is shown through actions. Anyone can show up one fine day and claim friendship. Someone stronger than you comes and takes over your house and says, well, we're friends. And you, being a weak head of the family, you say, yes, we are friends. If the children in your house want to, hey, don't do anything. You're mistaken. We are. He's really our friend. Don't upset him. Don't make him angry. It's because the leader painted. That's what this is about. So President Ibe didn't beat around the bush. He was very straightforward. He said, he confirmed, he reiterated what all Africans are saying. But up until now, if Africans speak out, since they have decided to sum up the Africans and Pan-Africans, discourse as propaganda. The best way to dismiss any speech by an African is to say he's a propagandist. Plain and simple. He who wants to kill his dog accuses it of having rabies. In what way is it propaganda? Are there any greater propagandists in what we call the Francophone sphere than RFI, France 24, TV5, La Croix newspaper, Le Monde newspaper? Are there any greater propagandists than these media outlets, Jeune Afrique? But no, that doesn't bother certain Africans. It doesn't bother them at all. They are comfortable. As long as it comes from the colonizer's tool, they're fine with it. But what did President Ibe say? It's live. He said that today's terrorists equipped with certain resources, we know there are major powers behind them. And there are more and more foreign fighters. Did you see the latest attacks against Nigeria, where terrorists are telling populations, over 3,000 people, to evacuate certain areas? And these are areas rich in hydrocarbons and other resources. They want to preserve them. They don't want to leave them to Nigeria. This is part of the imperialist strategic plan. African countries must never be allowed to develop. If an African country is suffering a bit, they have to find some kind of aid, just a little. That is to keep it alive, not let it die, but also not let the country fully recover its health. Never, since the end of, actually what they call the end of colonization. Colonization has never really stopped. None of the African countries. Nigeria, which is still called the Nigerian giant, they say that Boko Haram terrorists and others are driving out military bases or forcing populations to leave. Yet Mali is larger than Nigeria. And today it doesn't have Nigeria's financial resources, but that doesn't mean it won't have them tomorrow. Because at least they had the luck of being colonized by the English. Our misfortune was crossing paths with de Gaulle and all his entourage. That is what has especially been Africa's misfortune. De Gaulle, the misfortune of Africa. Well, President Ebele said they have teams. Not only do they have people who are not from here. General Chenavre revealed that they are undergoing training in the W National Park in Benin and in other places as well. They are being trained in laying mines. Because what hurts the Eastern armies the most, it's the mines they're laying. But we'll find a way to counter that. With the mines, they avoid combat. They avoid direct confrontation. It's the mines. Even if you saw the attack in Debo, why do reinforcements, especially ground reinforcements, often have trouble getting there? Because when they plan such an attack, they plant mines all over the place. So just by coming, boom. As you come, boom. Well, it's not easy. This is guerrilla warfare. You have to understand that there are real experts behind them. We are fighting against that. So not only did they have men whom they trained elsewhere and then deployed here. When Macron meets Gilani, what do you think that's for? Just between you and me, Ahmed Shira. From Syria, you know Macron received him, right? The one who claimed to be fighting terrorism in the region. Around Gilani, you have Turkey. How is that a problem for Turkey? There is no rebellion in Turkey as such. It was the PKK. The PKK has just announced the end of its operations. So officially there is no group that could attack Turkey. What other countries around Syria? You have Iraq. There are American bases. But who can Giuliani threaten where the American bases couldn't do anything? Yet we know who brought the terrorists there. So there are American bases there. Around Syria, you also have Jordan. Jordan, which has signed a treaty with Israel. Jordan does not harbor any terrorist group. None. So Jordan is also ruled out. Iraq is ruled out for the French. Turkey is ruled out. What other neighboring country is there? Israel. Israel has even deployed itself in the south of Syria. Is Macron going to say that he is going to save Israel? On the contrary, it is Israel that can help. Emmanuel Macron, because they have a powerful army, whether we like it or not. No, it's not Israel either. There is only one country left, next to Syria, and that's Lebanon. And in Lebanon, we know there is the Lebanese army. There are also certain resistance groups that have their own armies, such as Hezbollah. I'm not aware of any terrorist issues in Lebanon as such. Macron is going to use Doulani to help against whom? No one over there. Doesn't Macron need some of the most radical men? Some of Doulani's most radical men? To deploy them in other theaters of operation? That's what we need to look at. That's what we need to look at. Otherwise, that's not what he's telling us, no. He met with Doulani, even going so far as to embrace Doulani. This is the tourist whose head was priced. This tourist who rejoiced at the Bataclan attack in France. This terrorist is received by Emmanuel Macron, who was so pleased about it. If Doulani is no longer at war, Doulani has every reason to keep the most radical members of these groups who helped him drive out Bashar al-Assad. Personally, I obviously think the answer is no. And if Doulani isn't going to keep them, where could they be deployed? That might be of interest to Emmanuel Macron. Where exactly? So each of you, we may not be his area of interest, but that's how Macron and his secret services treat us. People of Africa, what is it that you still don't understand? President Belaid, but the last time they attacked the town of Tessalit in Mali, how many drones did they use? 6 drones. All of which were shot down by the Malian army. Where are the terrorists getting these drones from? Since none of Mali's neighboring countries are currently manufacturing drones as such. It's Mali itself that's managing to get by a little. Mali, a little. Burkina Faso, we're still in the advanced experimental phase. It's not very sophisticated yet. Algeria doesn't produce any, nor does Mauritania. And yet these are coastal countries. Senegal doesn't either. I'm talking about drones that are capable of going into combat. So, where are these drones coming from? Through which routes are these drones passing? Who is delivering them to these terrorist groups? That's the whole question. That's the whole question. Through which countries are these drones passing to come and harm the countries of the alliance of the Sahel? The answer is very simple. From now on, even saying that we are fighting terrorists is a mistake. We are fighting NATO mercenaries. It is health that finances them. It is health that protects them. It is health that covers them in case there is an operation here, which neutralizes them. It's NATO that's behind all of this. Don't look anywhere else. And President IB made it very clear. That's where it's been a long time since we've talked about it. Terrorism. Who created it? What was the first terrorist group? Where did this group operate? Who created Al-Qaeda? Against whom? If the Soviets hadn't set foot in Afghanistan, would Bin Laden have been trained to such a level? That's the real question we need to ask ourselves. All over the terrorists you see in Iraq. If Saddam Hussein had cooperated with them like Saudi Arabia, like Kuwait, would Iraq have been invaded by all these terrorists? Certainly, Saddam did cooperate with them at the beginning. We remember the Iran-Iraq war. A war that was extremely deadly. Saddam even used chemical weapons against the Iranian population. I went to Tehran and visited the Museum of the Revolution. We know what happened. But how did Saddam end up? If President Laurent Gbagbo had been their servant like Mr. Alassane Dramane Ouattara is, would he have been ravaged by a rebellion? The answer obviously is no. It's no. And if it had been Ouattara who was president of Mali, a true pawn, a true servant who accepts everything from the imperialists, would Mali have been invaded by all these terrorist groups? The answer obviously is no. It's when you fight back, when you stand up, when you swear to defend your sovereignty and your dignity, that's when they unleash all these mercenaries on you, who are often called terrorists, separatists, jihadists, radicals, depending on their mood. Often when they're in a good mood, they simply call them terrorists. If they're in a good mood toward the terrorist, it's just nonsense. Who knew the location of all our military camps? Who knows? Who has the map of our military zones? Who knows whom? The different roads, the different alleyways. Who knows everything? Who was there in Mali? The same army was in Burkina. The same army in Niger. Just like the terrorists who were in Mali, in Burkina, in Niger. They're the same people. Even calling them terrorists is actually letting them off the hook. They're just mercenaries. Nothing more, nothing less. And President IB saw this clearly. That's what we've been talking about for a long time. The Debo operation, a tragic operation, by the way. We pray for the eternal rest of our martyrs and wish a full recovery to our wounded. And we hope that the countries in the East will learn all the lessons, or all the necessary lessons. All the necessary lessons so that we are never attacked again. Because if we look at Debo's position, let's do everything possible. It is necessary that I know our general staff, that is to say the Eastern forces, meaning FIAS, the Unified Forces of the East, we already have 5,000 operational men, and these men have already carried out certain operations here and there. For us, we need to fully mobilize another 3,000 men. If they dare to carry out a large-scale operation, okay, like they tried in Debo, those 3,000 men must immediately all be paratroopers. They should be deployed, often even with their heavy weapons, which must be airlifted. In other words, transported by helicopter. Yes, it is necessary. It is necessary because the Debo operation is an opportunity. That's true. Afterwards, we retaliated. Many of them were sent to the other side. But such attacks are an opportunity for us to surround them and put an end to it. To put an end to it, like what happened in Sebabu. And I think the sweep operations around Debo are continuing on both sides of the border. But there isn't much talk about it because the army is the great silent one. But, well, it's also war. War has its own laws. We are a brave people. We know who we are fighting against. For countries that were completely unarmed, we are arming ourselves right in the middle of war. So understand the price that comes with that. There is a price to pay. They are our own. It is our blood. But should we give up and believe in the utopia of so-called political mercenaries? The answer obviously is no. We have to fight. In life, nothing is given for free. We must not feel sorry for ourselves. They are no better than us. They may have achieved certain technological advances and perhaps told all those who have also governed our countries. We are also paying for our lag behind the rest of the world. We who were once Africa, the cradle of humanity. There was a certain generation of leaders who came here and now swear by nothing else. I see some people who swear only by François Mitterrand's democracy. I say, but that's so-called democracy. Africa is the cradle of that. With us, everything is done through consultation. How many languages do we have to say this in? But what the other one produced in his ball factory, François Mitterrand. No, but wait, that's strange to us. It's foreign to our values, it's foreign to our culture. It doesn't even fit. And in the name of that, I saw Donald Trump go to Saudi Arabia, to the Gulf countries. He's on a tour. He needs big contracts. Over there Donald Trump never asked for democracy. And by the way, when the Saudis beheaded that guy, Jamal Khashoggi, in Turkey, some Americans like Joe Biden, who were a bit outraged, the Saudis made him pay for it directly. Donald Trump says he's not very interested in that. When it comes to human rights, you shouldn't upset Saudi Arabia. And we, for our part, don't understand. Now those same people come to teach us, to lecture us about human rights issues, morning, noon, and night. They act more humanitarian than anyone else. Here, everything is done collectively as a society. Now, they're trying to strip the African man of his social nature. I don't know what's going on. Donald Trump, after all, went to the Gulf countries. Name me a single Gulf country that is truly a great democracy. There isn't one. And one of the few countries that said no to their system in Yemen, it was the only country that attacked, that bombed. If you say no to the imperialists, they wage war on you, with all their allied armies. And who is refusing to understand now? We are not just facing the Macronist junta. General Michael Anglel, what is his nationality? Understand what I'm saying. People of Africa, this is what it's about. President IB, they only confirmed what Africans were already saying. But as he said, we are not going to feel sorry for ourselves. We are going to fight. Our greetings to His Excellency, Ibrahim Traoré. Our greetings to the two other leaders of the S, His Excellency Assimil Goita and His Excellency Abdurrahman Tiani. We greet all the authorities of the AS. We greet all the people of the AS. We greet all Africans who are committed to fighting alongside us for the true independence of Africa. An important event that we were asked to announce is once again being organized by Pan-Africanists. It will take place from May 23rd to 24th at the Conference Palace, known as CICB, the Bamako International Conference Center, or formerly the Conference Palace. If you want to know everything about Mali's underground resources, it's from May 23rd to 24th. It's Golden Day. Our regards to you, and see you very soon.